Robert Basso was just 22 years old, a young man brimming with potential and vitality. He stood at the cusp of adulthood, with dreams as vast as the open sky above him. Life stretched out before him, a tapestry of possibilities waiting to be explored. He was an athlete at his physical peak, a testament to dedication and hard work. Every muscle was honed, every movement precise. He embodied the very definition of youthful strength and agility. His physique was shaped by years of rigorous sports training and unwavering discipline. Early mornings, late nights, sweat, and sacrifice, all had contributed to forging him into the athlete he was. He understood the value of commitment and perseverance. He moved with energy, a spring in his step, confident and ready for any challenge that life might throw his way, a reflection of his inner strength and unwavering self-belief. He possessed the kind of optimism that only youth can truly embody. That is, until the draft notice arrived, shattering the tranquility of his carefully constructed world. The official envelope from the U.S. government, bearing the weight of a nation's call to duty, landed on his doorstep, an uninvited guest, disrupting the rhythm of his life. It changed everything, casting a long shadow over his future, and forcing him to confront a reality he had never anticipated. Robert's name was called. He was no longer just an athlete, but a potential soldier. His country needed him in the army, and the weight of that responsibility settled heavily on his young shoulders. The call to serve echoed across the nation, and Robert was among those chosen to answer. Duty and apprehension mixed in his mind, creating a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. The uncertainty of war loomed large, a stark contrast to the predictable routine he had known. But his inherent sense of responsibility, instilled in him from a young age, ultimately won out, guiding his decision and shaping his path forward. He came from a generation that deeply valued service, teamwork, and the common good, a generation forged in the fires of shared sacrifice and unwavering patriotism. Now, the team was the army, a vast and complex machine dedicated to defending freedom and fighting for a cause greater than themselves. And the stakes were higher than ever, with the fate of the world hanging in the balance. The challenges ahead would be immense, demanding courage, resilience, and unwavering commitment. Robert resolved to face this new chapter with unwavering resolve, embracing the unknown with a sense of purpose and determination. He would approach it with the same determination and competitive spirit he always brought to the field, channeling his athletic prowess into the service of his country. His years of physical training and mental discipline felt like an advantage, a solid foundation upon which he could build his military service. He was ready for the challenge, prepared to push his limits and face whatever lay ahead with courage and conviction. Boot camp would undoubtedly be tough, a crucible designed to forge soldiers from ordinary men. But he believed, with every fiber of his being, that he could handle it, that he possessed the strength and resilience to overcome any obstacle. This wasn't just an obligation, a duty thrust upon him by circumstance. It was a chance to prove himself, to rise to the occasion, and to serve something bigger than himself, a cause worthy of his dedication and sacrifice. He packed his bags with a mix of trepidation and determination, said his goodbyes to loved ones, knowing that life would never be quite the same. And with a deep breath and a resolute gaze, he stepped forward, into the unknown, ready to face whatever the future held. He was a young athlete answering a call he never expected, a call to serve his country in a time of unprecedented crisis. The journey had begun, a path fraught with peril and uncertainty, but also with the promise of purpose and the potential for profound personal growth. And Robert was determined to walk it with honor, courage, and unwavering commitment, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead and to emerge a stronger, more resilient man. The bus, a metal behemoth carrying the weight of countless dreams, finally rolled into Fort Bliss, Texas. For Robert, this wasn't just another stop, it was his first definitive step into the structured, demanding, and ultimately transformative world of military service. The air crackled with anticipation, a mixture of excitement and trepidation hanging heavy as the recruits disembarked. The base buzzed with activity, a hive of purposeful movement. Soldiers marched with unwavering precision, trucks rumbled along dusty roads, and the distant shouts of drill sergeants echoed across the vast expanse. Uniforms were everywhere, a sea of olive drab blending seamlessly with the arid landscape. The rhythmic cadence of drills echoed under the vast desert sky, a constant reminder of the discipline and order that defined military life. For Robert, standing amidst this organized chaos, it was a completely new world. It was both intimidating, with its rigid structure and unfamiliar customs, and inspiring, filled with the promise of camaraderie, purpose, and personal growth. He felt a surge of determination, a resolve to meet the challenges head-on. Medical screening was the first hurdle, a necessary step to ensure he was physically fit for the rigors of training. Fortunately, his years of dedication to sports and physical fitness paid off handsomely. He passed the initial assessment easily, a testament to his commitment to self-improvement. That small victory, that initial confirmation of his physical readiness, significantly boosted his confidence. It solidified his belief that he belonged here, that he had what it took to succeed in this demanding environment. He quickly joined the ranks of other recruits, a diverse group of young men from all walks of life, united by a common desire to serve their country. They were all sharing a palpable nervous energy, a mixture of excitement and apprehension, as they awaited the start of their training. The air crackled with anticipation, a silent acknowledgement of the challenges that lay ahead. Robert, always a diligent student, was particularly eager to learn the intricacies of military life, to master the skills and knowledge necessary to excel. He wanted to train hard, to push himself beyond his perceived limits. His ultimate goal was to become the best soldier he could possibly be, a valuable asset to his unit and a credit to his country. The shared stories of camaraderie, the tales of past challenges overcome, further fueled his determination, solidifying his commitment to the path he had chosen. The first few days were primarily about settling in, finding a rhythm within the structured environment. It was about learning the complex set of rules and regulations, understanding the chain of command, and adapting to the strict, unwavering routines that governed every aspect of their lives. Fort Bliss, with its sprawling training grounds and relentless pace, was the crucible where dreams of selfless service met the harsh reality of rigorous training. Robert, ever the attentive student, meticulously absorbed every lesson, every instruction, recognizing the importance of each detail. He knew that these lessons were the foundation upon which he would build his military career, preparing him for the demanding physical and mental tests that lay ahead. He remained intensely focused, driven by an unwavering commitment to his duty and the deep-seated desire to make his family proud of his service. He was ready, both mentally and physically, to give his all, to dedicate himself completely to the uniform he would soon proudly wear, a symbol of his commitment and sacrifice. Boot camp hit full stride, a relentless crucible designed to forge soldiers from raw recruits. Every day was a test, pushing them to their physical and mental limits. The initial shock had worn off, replaced by a grim determination to survive and succeed. Long days bled into even longer nights, filled with seemingly endless drills, demanding marches under the scorching sun, and relentless physical exercise that left muscles screaming and lungs burning. The instructors were unyielding, their voices booming across the training grounds, demanding perfection. Robert's natural athleticism, honed over years of sports and training, helped him keep pace with the grueling demands. He found a rhythm in the chaos, a way to push through the pain and exhaustion. More than that, he encouraged others, offering a helping hand and a word of support to those who struggled. In the shared hardship, he was forging bonds of brotherhood, a sense of camaraderie that would prove invaluable in the trials to come. Then, the obstacle course loomed, a daunting challenge that separated the strong from the weak, the determined from the defeated. It was a physical and mental gauntlet designed to test every aspect of a soldier's capabilities. It was a notorious test of strength, agility, endurance, and sheer willpower. The recruits knew that conquering this course was a crucial step towards earning their place as soldiers. Robert attacked it with unwavering determination, his eyes focused on the next challenge, his body moving with practiced efficiency. He scaled walls, crawled under barbed wire, and swung across ropes, pushing himself to the limit. But disaster struck unexpectedly on a seemingly simple high jump. A sharp, searing pain shot through his hip like a lightning bolt, momentarily paralyzing him. It was unlike anything he'd ever felt before, a sudden and intense agony that threatened to bring him to his knees. Adrenaline and pride surged through him, pushing him to ignore the pain and finish the course, driven by the desire to prove himself and not let his fellow recruits down. He gritted his teeth and masked the severity of the injury, determined to push through the pain and not show any weakness. He downplayed the pain to his comrades and instructors, hoping it would fade with rest and that he could quickly return to full training. The medical staff offered basic advice: ice, rest, and over-the-counter pain relievers, standard procedure for minor strains and sprains. But the true damage, a deeper, more insidious injury, was hidden beneath the surface, masked by Robert's stoicism and the limitations of a cursory examination. Robert clung tightly to his dream of serving his country, of making a difference in the world, of becoming the soldier he had always envisioned. He was completely unaware that this seemingly minor injury would soon change everything, shattering his aspirations and forcing him to confront a new and unexpected reality. He tried to push through the pain, determined not to fall behind his fellow recruits, not wanting to be seen as weak or incapable. But the pain, instead of fading, settled into a deep, persistent ache that radiated throughout his hip and down his leg. It was a warning sign, a clear indication that something was seriously wrong, but it was a warning he stubbornly tried to ignore, fueled by his ambition and fear of failure. He reported the incident to his superiors, but he deliberately downplayed the full extent of the pain and discomfort, minimizing the severity of the injury in his description. He clung to the hope of a quick recovery, believing that a few days of rest and treatment would be enough to heal the damage and allow him to resume his training without any lasting consequences. But the real challenge, the true test of his resilience and determination, was just beginning, a challenge far greater than any obstacle course. Robert's journey, once so clear and focused, was about to take an unexpected and potentially devastating turn, leading him down a path he never could have imagined. Despite worsening pain, Robert pushed through boot camp's daily grind. His grit became his shield. He refused to let the injury define him. Every drill and march was an exercise in pain management. In basic training, toughness was everything. Admitting weakness felt like failure. Robert internalized his suffering, determined to keep up with his peers. He convinced himself it was just a bad sprain, something he could overcome. He adjusted his movements, found ways to minimize the strain, and kept going. But the injury worsened, the pain growing sharper and more constant. Sleep became elusive, rest offering little relief. Weeks passed, and the hidden wound festered, both physically and emotionally. Robert fought two battles, the demands of boot camp and the war within his own body. His spirit was strong, but the toll was mounting. The ground beneath him was giving way, and the injury's shadow grew heavier. Eventually, Robert's willpower couldn't mask the agony any longer. The pain became unbearable, making even simple movements excruciating. He finally sought serious medical help, admitting the true extent of his suffering. This time, doctors took notice and ordered X-rays. The diagnosis was clear: a significant hip injury from the obstacle course. It was far worse than a sprain, possibly a fracture or severe ligament damage. The news hit Robert hard. The injury was undeniable and life-altering. His body had kept a painful secret, now revealed for all to see. The future he'd imagined was suddenly in jeopardy. The doctors delivered the verdict. Robert's injury was too severe for military service. A medical discharge was the only option. For Robert, it was a crushing blow. His journey as a soldier ended before it truly began. He'd given everything, endured the pain, but fate had other plans. The sense of loss was overwhelming, a future cut short by a single moment. He left Fort Bliss quietly, carrying discharge papers and a heavy heart. The dreams he brought to Texas faded, replaced by the reality of recovery. He returned home, no longer a recruit, but a young man with an injury and an uncertain path. The pride he'd hoped for was replaced by disappointment and questions about what might have been. The road ahead would be one of healing, both physical and emotional. The pain of Robert's injury was matched only by the emotional weight he carried for decades. He struggled with survivor guilt, watching peers continue their service while he returned home. Shame and self-doubt took root. He felt unworthy of the title veteran. Conversations about military service made him withdraw, feeling like an imposter. He avoided veteran communities, believing his story didn't count. Memorial days became reminders of what he saw as his own inadequacy. Multiple surgeries kept the memories alive, each one a reminder of that fateful day. The cycle of isolation and self-doubt persisted, hidden from those around him. Robert's journey was marked by physical pain and a quiet internal struggle. He questioned his worth in his service and his place among veterans. For years, his story remained untold, a burden carried in silence. Over time, Robert's faith became a source of healing. Spiritual reflection helped him see his worth beyond the length of his service. Movements like #reasonable ranks honored all who served, resonating deeply with him. He realized he wasn't alone. Others had faced abrupt ends and similar feelings. Gradually he reframed his story, not as failure, but as resilience and commitment. He had answered the call and given his best. The courage to endure pain and live with the aftermath became a new kind of strength. Eventually, Robert chose to share his story, breaking decades of silence. He hoped his journey would inspire others to find their voice and recognize their own worth. His service, no matter how brief, mattered, and so did theirs. Robert Basso's story is one of quiet courage and resilience. He answered the draft, endured pain, and carried the weight of interrupted service for decades. His experience highlights the sacrifices of those whose military careers end unexpectedly. Their service is no less honorable, their stories deserve respect. By sharing his truth, Robert encourages others to embrace their own journeys. All who step forward to serve are part of the military's tapestry. Robert's legacy is one of quiet valor finally brought into the light. His story reminds us, every form of courage matters.